Shalom, shalom, shalom. I'm sitting here in my car at PSU because it's raining outside. I just finished a 2-hour stint of street preaching at Portland State University. Got out there a little afternoon and preached for a good solid 2 hours, more than 2 hours actually, because it's almost 2:30 here. So I took out my umbrella, and actually I'm now gonna have to buy a new umbrella because my my umbrella got mangled. Took out my umbrella, started preaching around noon. There was hardly anyone out because it was raining, and yet as I began to exalt the Torah and Yahshua, really emphasizing the blood atonement, a crowd started to form amazingly, even in the rain. And then there was a little bit of time where the rain stopped, but one of the reasons why a crowd developed was there was this man named Joshua, and he was a very wicked man. He professed with his lips that he loves Christ, and yet he said that he lied every single day, that he lies. And a very smug and arrogant attitude, very wicked. And so what happened is that as I was exalting the true Christ, the true Yahshua, one who loves Yahshua and will not sin, one who will truly obey the entire Torah out of love for Yahshua, what happened was the Spirit of Yah began to just show this diametric difference between me and this very wicked, arrogant, smug hypocrite. Joshua eventually, when I was preaching on Hebrews chapter 8 and the essence of the gospel, Joshua started saying, oh, that's not what it says, that's not what it says. And of course, then I actually opened the Bible and read it verbatim. And even at that point, he still hardened his heart. And so at that point, I decided to read 1 Corinthians 5, and I delivered him over to Satan. And I prophesied to him. I said that within 5 months, your life will be a complete wreck. And he said, well, give me your phone number so that I can call you when that happens. And I said, okay. So I gave him my phone number. And then I noticed even after I continued to preach, he would go like a snake to like different members of my crowd and start, speaking wickedness to them. But that was fine. So I preached on that. And then, so a lot of it was dealing with, and of course, because he came out, a lot of people were hypocrites. And then there was also this very proud atheist that I was debating the Roche limit, and the age of the earth and evolution. And he was very wicked as well. But then the Spirit of Yah just led me to start preaching out Psalm 119. And I did that. And just continue to emphasize what a true believer does. That a true believer, the essence of the gospel, is that you have an inward desire to obey the Torah. And that really seemed to quiet these hypocrites. There were several times where the Spirit of Yah just overwhelmed me, and I was so grieved, and I would just yell out because of my grief at these people who profess to love Christ and quote the Bible, and yet they don't have a clue who Christ is because they still walk in sin. Even in the midst of that, though, I had several people who asked for cards. I mean, literally, who came up to me and wanted a card. I had one lady, a young woman, who said, look, I heard you're a pastor of a congregation. I want to be a part of it. So I gave her my information. She's going to join our Skype meetings. So I've already gotten a student at PSU who wants to join our nightly Skype meetings. And there were a couple of others who just, asked for a website. There was another guy I talked to that was also interested in joining the Skype, and he grabbed my card. So that was really neat. That's the first time that's happened. And at one point, the most controversial point was there was a woman who was a Jew, and she was trying to quote the Bible to me, and I said, "Where are your tzitzit? Where's your head covering? Where, and I called her a bitch. And people got really upset about that. But then I said, wait a minute. Do you remember when Jesus Christ called that Canaanite woman a dog? He said, I've come not to serve the Gentile dogs. I'm going to the Jews. And then she, rather than getting offended, she responded in humility and said, yes, but Jesus, even the dogs can eat the crumbs at the master's table. So she was not offended that Jesus called her a bitch. And unfortunately, when I called this woman a bitch, she was very offended. But if she had responded in humility, she would have been blessed. So that caused a lot of controversy, but it still drew people. The pure hearts were not offended, and there were some pure hearts out there today. I'm really excited because I think for the first time, my Skype gathering is going to include students from PSU. Hallelujah. Well, shalom. It's the second day of the week. It's Monday. I'm in the full-time ministry now, just trusting in Yah for provision, financially and otherwise, and my job, rain or shine, is to come to PSU each and every day to contend for the faith. And, of course, we will be having a Skype meeting tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Anyone's welcome to attend. This is Daniel John Lee with Torah Restoration Ministries. The website's www.spiritandtorah.com. Shalom from a rainy PSU. Very rainy indeed. And it's the 15th day of the 8th month.